Well, we're back on the roof, and in today's video, I'd like to talk about the topic of introverts on YouTube and why I think introverts are uniquely poised to do well on YouTube, especially as it relates to other social platforms. And I've been thinking about this recently because I had a conversation with a client the other day, and they mentioned they had some reservations about starting their channel, and they were just worried that they were not going to be somebody that people would want to listen to. They said specifically, I don't have anything interesting to say. And while I don't think that is a worry of introverts necessarily, I think a lot of people think that they don't have anything interesting to say. It just got me thinking more about how introverts can succeed and like what are their strengths that they can lean into to be successful on YouTube, and maybe just, I don't know, share my perspective on why I think people of all walks, of all energy levels, of all sociability levels, of all interests can succeed on YouTube. So I think the first thing that I thought of was, and I'll speak a little bit for myself because I think I'm closer to being an introvert than an extrovert, although I, go back and forth and fluctuate. But I think for myself, and maybe you guys can relate to this, I'm like a bit soft-spoken. I'm more quiet than most people, I think, in terms of like the overall loudness of my voice, especially in a social setting. I don't tend to cut through the background noise, and sometimes people have a hard time hearing me. And that can be frustrating. It can be annoying when you do want to chime in and you just don't project loud enough for people to actually hear what you're saying. And maybe some of you relate to that. Maybe that's, I don't know if that's like a blanket characteristic of introverts. I don't necessarily think it is. But the great thing about YouTube is that it doesn't matter how loud you are. Because even if you have a soft voice, even if you don't project very loudly, the moment somebody clicks on your video, all the other millions of videos by default are muted. So you don't need to worry about competing with other people, with loud people. You're simply the only one speaking in that moment. So that is something to keep in mind if you're unsure of your value and your ability to communicate and have people listen. If you think you're soft-spoken, it doesn't matter. Just make your video, and when people hit play on it, it'll be your voice they hear. And the other thing is this struggle I have about keeping up in conversations. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but when I'm with friends, especially chatty friends, I have a hard time like interjecting and like adding in my own 2 cents and like getting into the conversation. The conversation usually moves way too quick for me to get in what I want to say. And like I'll think about something that I want to say, but the moment will have already passed, and it's kind of annoying. And on YouTube, you don't have to worry about that. There's no real-time dynamics to keep up with. And you really just get to communicate at your own pace. And you think as slowly as you want to think, and you communicate as fast or as slowly as you want to communicate. And you don't have to worry about other people cutting you off or talking over you or changing the topic. It's all on your own time. And I think that's a benefit for people who are maybe slower to engage or slower to react in conversation. The other area that I struggle in is relating to other people's life experience. And if I'm hearing a conversation of people talking about their travels or their families or things that they've done, I often don't have a shared experience with a lot of people. I don't have a lot of common interests or common hobbies. I don't have a lot of life experiences that a lot of other people have had. So I can't really contribute to those conversations. I kind of just have to sit back and watch, or maybe ask questions if I'm feeling inquisitive. But on YouTube, you don't have to worry about trying to relate to others because you just have to be yourself, and other people will find your video and they will relate to you. And that's the beauty about the algorithm on YouTube, is it's always searching for the people who are best suited to watch your video and to actually enjoy your video. So it's flipped on its head, right? You're not actively seeking to relate to others. YouTube is looking to find others to relate to you and your topics and your content and your vibe. So if you struggle to relate to people in real life, like YouTube might be a really great way of finding people who can relate to you and your experiences. So I think it's a powerful tool for that. And those are just features of the platform, right? They weren't built with introverts in mind. It's just a function of how YouTube operates. And because unlike other social platforms where there's a lot of short form video, those get a lot of attention because they're loud and they're fast moving and there's bright personalities. You know, you have to tell a compelling story in a short period of time in order to keep your viewer on those short form videos. With YouTube, it's long form, and the algorithm doesn't care how old your content is. It'll serve up an old video if it makes sense for that viewer to watch it. So it's because it's long form, because it's got more depth in terms of the tenure of the video, there's more of an opportunity to gain viewership over time, and again, to find the people that relate to your video. And then I don't know, I was kind of thinking about different character traits or qualities of introverted people, and like I have a list of a few of them I thought would be, these are really good qualities to have to be on to create a YouTube channel and to produce videos. So the first thing is like some introverts, and maybe I fancy myself in this category, they've got attention to detail. They're kind of nuanced and they're detail oriented. And so when you are delivering on a topic, especially if you're trying to educate or relate to other people, if you can provide a lot of detail and depth and substance with what you're describing and what you're talking about, that cuts through in ways that superficial communication doesn't. And that's how you can find really deep connection with people. And then, other qualities as it relates to thoughtfulness and self-reflection. If you're scripting out a video, you may be planning for a long period of time. You may be doing a lot of deep thinking, a lot of researching, a lot of studying to make sure that what you're delivering is valuable and accurate. And in the process of curating and self-educating, you're creating something that may be of a higher quality product than just slapping together a quick video that hasn't been researched. So being thoughtful and having self-reflection with your attention to detail can lead to something that's really profound and deep. And then there's the authenticity part of it. And I would say maybe most introverts don't care to pretend to be other people. I think number one, they don't crave the spotlight. I know I certainly don't. So they don't feel like they want to put on a performance or act. And so all you have to do is be yourself. You don't have to act or put on a persona or a facade on YouTube. You just have to be yourself and be authentic. And I think you probably all know this. Authenticity on YouTube is huge. Like, people love it because they can see right through you if you're not being authentic. And people want to know that you're human and that you make mistakes just like them. If they can see a little bit of themselves in you as the creator, then they feel closer to you. And at the end of the day, I think everyone's craving connection and camaraderie. And with authenticity comes relatability. And maybe for introverts, it's hard to talk about yourself and talk about your life experience and really share deep and vulnerable things. But if you can do that in conjunction with providing some value and answering questions and otherwise being helpful on YouTube in some way, then not only will people find value in the education or that you're trying to deliver to them, but they'll also find value in you as a person, and you become easier to understand. So relatability is huge. And I think that's something a lot of us, especially myself, can aim to do more of. And maybe you guys get a little bit of that in this video here. And then, like, I myself, I like to work. This is a tough one because I love collaborating with people, but I also like being left alone for a long time and just working on something and trying to perfect something and just spending hours getting lost in a project. So if you are an introvert and you prefer to work alone and you can do that and it fulfills you and you feel like you're in your rhythm when you're by yourself for a long period of time, you think about the entire video creation process, it is largely a solo effort. I mean, it is practically and entirely a solo effort unless you want other people involved. So what I'm doing right now is completely solo. I came up with this topic completely on my own. I wrote down a rough outline completely on my own. I'm filming completely on my own, and I will edit very minimally completely on my own and do my upload also completely on my own. So if you like working by yourself, then creating a video is an entirely solitary effort. And you can spend as much time or as little time as you want on it, and you can tweak it to your heart's desire. And I think that's a great, it's a type of project that lends itself well to people who don't want to collaborate with others. And as I mentioned before, if you're the type that likes to research, likes to study, likes to look things up, and likes to self-educate, you're naturally an inquisitive person, and you're probably more interesting than a lot of other people, and maybe you're more interesting than you even think. And so why not share some of that knowledge on YouTube? Why not find people who have that common interest? And it's so funny because when people say, well, I don't have anything interesting to say, I get it. Like, I feel the same way. But maybe you have like a really, I don't want to call it fringe, but maybe you have like a really specific interest or hobby that you just think not a lot of other people like. And maybe you think you're weird for liking something so unique and novel. But I would challenge that and say, like, there's probably people on YouTube making videos about it. Whatever your interests are, however fringe or off the wall, there's probably a community online somewhere that is having fun talking about this hobby or this interest. And it's just a matter of finding them. And if there's no videos on YouTube on the thing that you're really interested in, it's probably worth making videos about it, because you may find over time people are looking for that. They may have an interest that's so weird that the moment they find a creator who's making videos on that content, they are glued, and you've got a loyal fan for life. So, it could be something to explore. So however weird you think you might be, or whatever weird interest you think you might have, first, it's not weird. But second, there's probably people out there that you can connect with. And again, that's the beauty of YouTube, is if you make the video, YouTube will find your audience for you. As long as you're providing good value and helping people relate or helping people with a problem, as long as you're being helpful, I think you can find people to rally around you and your efforts and your channel. So all that to say, to beat the dead horse, I think YouTube is a great place for introverts to try and find their voice and practice some self-expression, if you're feeling compelled to do so, of course. I think I can give you some practical tips of things that I've worked on as I was starting my YouTube channel that have helped me. Again, these might not work for everybody, but they helped me, so maybe some of this is relatable. But when I first started, just to set the groundwork, I had zero confidence to be on camera. I didn't have any videos or views or likes or comments, so I had zero validation that anything I said was going to resonate with anybody. I didn't have any filming experience. I didn't have any editing experience. And I didn't even really know anything about my niche. So I didn't really have any practice even talking about what I was going to be talking about. And that's tough. So one of the things I did initially, and you don't have to do this, this is just something I've done, is I took a camera confidence class. It was called Talk to Camera Creator Bootcamp. And it's by a YouTube channel called Portal Collective, I think is the name. It was a 5-day class, and they give you different assignments, and you essentially record yourself, and then you post those videos to their private Facebook group, and then all the other people in your class can comment and like and share their experience and so on and so forth. So the exercises are different. They're unique. They make you do some goofy things. They make you do some vulnerable things. And it was a good experience because I got out of my shell a little bit, and it helped me to, I don't know, like just try something different that I wasn't used to doing. And in the process, I made a few friends who've been watching my channel and following me. So I gained a little bit of support and validation from that. But then I think more importantly after that, because that initially kickstarted the confidence that I had to start the channel, I ended up implementing a morning routine where I would go for a walk, and then when I got back, I would record myself on my phone, just like I'm doing right now, 3 to 5 minutes, vlog style, no script, just shoot the shit, talk to the camera, whatever's on my mind. It didn't really matter. Some days it was just matter of fact, like here's what I've done this week. Other days it was like me getting deep into it and like kind of getting vulnerable and emotional on topics. So it was a mixed bag, but the point was every day for like 3 months, over 3 months, I pressed the red button on my phone. I hit record. And every single day that you do that, or at least for me, I was chipping away at this lack of experience and lack of confidence that I had about recording on my phone. Because when you do the same thing over and over and over again, you get numb to the fear and anxiety that comes with it. And in turn, it just becomes a natural thing, like brushing your teeth in the morning. So it became really easy for me to press record. And now when I sit down to film, I don't get that initial jitter or anxiety that I used to get. It's just a normal experience for me. So I would recommend for anybody starting out who has a little bit of anxiety or camera shyness, implement a daily routine, just a few minutes, hit record on your phone, talk to it. And if you don't want to put yourself on camera, like if you don't want to film yourself, have the camera look at something else, but just talk. Get used to talking, because that in itself is going to help you a lot. And especially for those of you who are like me and you're embarking on a journey on a niche that you don't have a lot of experience with, talking about things out loud, not just reading, not just watching videos about them, and not just thinking about them, but actually talking out loud, it's going to really help you shape the way you think about the things that you want to discuss, your niche, your topics. And I would encourage you to rehearse your opening line, your hook, rehearse your introduction, like who are you? And to the best that you can, just try to have conversations with people that might be interested so that you can hear their feedback. You can refine your talk track over time, because sometimes when you don't have a lot of practice talking about something and you start to try and film yourself and talk about these things, it's a disaster. It just doesn't come off right, and you feel bad about it, and then you get discouraged. So I can't advocate enough for a daily routine of filming yourself, and for also trying to practice what you want to say. The combination of both of those things will come in handy. And then the other thing I would really encourage you to do as well, now of course this depends on your the style of videos that you're making, but if you do any talking head videos like I'm doing, not this one, but all of the other ones where I've been in my kitchen, you guys have seen those. I have the same exact setup for the vast majority of my videos. And what that's enabled me to do is free up any back-end mental bandwidth I would be spending worrying about my equipment or my scene not being correct. So by that I mean, I've got my lighting dialed in because I'm using a lot of natural light. I've got my audio and my video dialed in because I'm using the same phone, the same tripod, and the same mic every single time. And what that means is when I sit down to film, I know everything is going to work, and I don't have any anxiety or worries that my equipment's not set up correctly. And it sounds like a small detail, but it's actually a big deal, especially for the new folks out there. You're worrying about a lot of stuff all at once when you start filming. Remove some of those distractions. Get them out of your head. So dial them in advance so that you don't have to worry about them, and that will free up so much more of your mental energy and bandwidth to just have a good conversation with your phone. Make sure you're by yourself. Do it solo. Maybe wait for people to leave the house, or do it in a place where it's quiet and it's only you, so you're not worried about the perception of others. And just keep your videos short to begin with, a couple minutes. You don't have to tell a 30-minute story like I do sometimes. Keep it short and sweet. And in time, as you post and you start to get some of that validation, that's going to help with your confidence. And then your confidence will start to show on camera, and that'll lead to more validation. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. It starts to pick up mass. The more it rolls, the more mass it picks up, and the bigger the snowball is, the more it picks up with each rotation. So it's a compounding effect. And then you have to understand that when you start out, it's going to be very slow and awkward and grueling, and you're not going to like it. But at some point, things will start to click, and you'll start to feel a little bit more natural doing it. So that's my advice. Hopefully some of this was helpful. And for those of you who are still on the fence about starting your channel and trying to record a video, I'm happy to continue this conversation and help out further. I do have consulting availability that I have in my Calendly link below. If you want to click on that, you can schedule some time with me. And that is a paid service. For those of you who are not ready for that, feel free to email me. My email address is also below, and I'm happy to take questions that you have there as well. But you'll never know unless you try, and don't regret not having tried something. So let me know how it goes. If you record a video, post it in the well, I don't think you can post it in my comments, but let me know. Send me an email. I'd love to take a look. I'd love to comment and give you some feedback, and then you'll be well on your way. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.